Welcome back. I'm Mary Ann Leffel, Monterey County Business Council. Today's program is all about Middlebury Institute, located here in Monterey, and it's a huge part of your town that you need to know a little bit more about. So today you're going to get a little appetizer on 3 different pieces of Middlebury. So my next guest is Luisa Roemer.
Yes.
Okay. And you are German by birth.
Yes, that's correct.
How did you find Middlebury?
So that was really just a Google research, I actually have to say. So I secured that scholarship that was, providing me with the financial aid that I needed in order to study in the U.S. And then they told me, you find the university that you like the most, the program that you, find the most interested in, that you want to study, and then we finance you. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And I started, I definitely knew that I want to do something with terrorism studies, counter-terrorism. And then I found that program that also combined non-proliferation and terrorism studies. And I looked into a few other programs all around, East Coast, West Coast, everywhere in the U.S. But I was pretty quickly decided that it's going to be Monterey.
So it's kind of fascinating to me, and I mean, I know this program is world-renowned here, and the director is my neighbor. So, but what undergraduate studies do you have? What prepares you for this?
So I studied international relations and management.
Okay.
But I focused more on the politics and not so much on the economics. Even though there's like a management part into it, I knew that I'm not going to be a CEO or anything like that pretty quickly. So the international relations part is basically, and then through some professors that I had back in Germany, they got me into the civil-military relations and conflict resolution, and that kind of built up to terrorism studies. And then I thought, so international relations is pretty broad and basic. I want to go deep. I want to go in depth, and I want to be an expert in one of those subjects. And so, terrorism it was.
Oh, it was our luck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my luck too.
So do you graduate this year?
Yeah, I'm going to graduate in 3 weeks.
Okay. And then what's next?
That's a good question. So I'm trying everything. Honestly, I apply all around the world and in all the fields that I'm interested in. I'm going from the non-proliferation to the terrorism, counter-terrorism. But recently, because of the financial crime specialization that Middlebury also offers, I also took classes in financial crime and sanctions compliance and terrorism financing. So all this, what I just said, I'm applying, the government, well, not in the U.S. though, because the citizenship, but government, private, I'm open for everything, and I try to stay 12 more months in the U.S., which is possible with the visa that I'm having, working permit and all this, but in the long run, it's going to be Europe at one point.
So, Luisa, I think you have 1 year from the time you graduate
Yes.
on your visa that you can work
Exactly.
in your field. Is
Exactly.
that correct?
That is correct.
In the United States. And then if someone makes you a permanent job offer, then it can be extended. Is it 3 more years?
Actually, I have to look into that because there is, sometimes people have a 2 years home residency they have to fulfill before they can get on a normal age working permit in the U.S. So honestly, I don't even, the long-term perspective that I'm thinking of is like 12 months maximum for right now.
Okay.
Like,
you're taking it
small. Step by step.
A small bite now
exactly.
and then work it out.
Exactly.
So, and so the non-proliferation or the terrorism studies, and then the financial piece of it, which has just come into the forefront in the last few years,
Yes.
roaring into the forefront. And I think it's going to become more and more as we have Bitcoin and all other types of currency that people can kind of skate around the rules. It's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating how things are uncovered.
It is. I mean, like every lecture I'm sitting in, and I mean, I just learn so much in every minute. Sometimes you go out of the classes and you really feel like your hands are sore from all the typing. It's also very dynamic. It's very fast progressing. You have to be ahead of everything, you feel, these days, because like what's the trend right now might not be the trend next year. So
as quick as someone can figure out a way to thwart something, someone else has figured out a new way to do it.
You need to be a little bit smarter than the criminals and the bad guys in that world.
Yeah. Well, I have a 45-year banking career.
Oh,
that was my job. So I get it.
So you know exactly.
And, you see a lot of things when you're in banking that you go, I think this might be a little money laundering, but it seems like it has become more and more sophisticated. And I see things every once in a while. I go, oh, here's one. It's kind of interesting. It's all around us.
Yeah, definitely.
And people don't realize it.
That's definitely true. And then with the whole cyber component, that also, I mean, it's not that the internet is just like invented yesterday, but it's getting more, and people getting know more about it, and so do the criminals, and you need to understand what they are capable of and what they want to do with it in order to prepare and have countermeasures in place. So it's like every day it's a very good day, Miss.
Yeah. But what a fascinating study.
Yeah.
So how many people are actually in your field of study this year? How many people graduate?
That is a very good question. I don't know exactly. It's, I've been gone for a whole year because I started studying in 2015 and then went back to Europe for some internships. So I kind of already lost the oversight of who's in my cohort and who's graduating. But I don't know. I think Jeff would know more the numbers, but I think at least like 80.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Everyone I'm talking to, a lot of my friends are like, oh yeah, I'm graduating too. It's like, oh, what, you are? I didn't know. It's like, maybe 8 is a little lot, maybe 50.
At the job fair, were there a lot of people interested in the field? I would think that there are. There's such a spotlight now on cyber terrorism and on all of that.
Yeah, I think so. What I really like is that Miss also brings in employers who are, at the moment seeking, recent graduates or soon-to-be graduates, and, for hiring positions. They're recruiting, and they're recruiting also in the banks. They're recruiting big times right now for all the sanctions compliance and the money laundering analysts. So, Miss, the professors, everyone is so engaged, and so, they really want to help us getting us into the fields and getting the practical experience after we've been, pimped with all the academic experience. We had like some of the 3-letter agencies, we have private companies and some like banks or risk analyst that they're contracting for banks, and it's I think there's a lot of demand and there's a lot of interest, that's for sure.
I just see it as a growing field. It's because, as I said, just my background, I see things and I go, this looks highly suspicious to me. So,
I just hope that this field is also growing in Germany.
I think it is worldwide.
I think it is,
I don't think that criminals have any boundaries.
No. If we learned one thing, that's definitely true. They don't have boundaries.
They can be in the smallest village, right?
Exactly.
And some of them are very clever, very, very clever of what they think up and how they do things.
It's all about imagination sometimes. It's, you think just because it's not possible right now, it does not mean it's never going to be possible. So you have to have some fantasy, I guess.
So, excuse my ignorance, but are you, as a German citizen, are you allowed to work for the U.S. government in your 1-year period? Is that allowed with your citizenship, or do you most likely have to go into private sector?
So from my research and the kind of recruiting that I went through for right now, or like at least the people I talked to, it seemed that for the positions that I would be interested in, you need a security clearance, which I'm not going to get as a non-U.S. citizen. So,
it's hard for U.S. citizens.
Yeah. So you would. So I talked with some of them, and they were saying like, you need to go through the naturalization process, and then you can at some point get it, and I guess it means a little bit also giving up citizenship. That's at least what came up during that talk. But for that 1 year period that I have right now, I'm looking more into the private sector.
From what I've seen with the way the government moves, in 1 year you'd never get it.
No. No. I think, I should be realistic about that.
So if you were to choose the perfect place, would it be a financial institution or
I don't know yet.
A risk analysis overall? What would it?
I feel so. Why I took this year off was also because I was right in the middle. So we have like the non-proliferation and the terrorism, and most of the time people decide for one and then go very deep into that one. But I was so interested in both that I just like lingered both and took a sip of both of them, and I really liked it so much that I was thinking, okay, like Luisa, you have to decide at one point because you cannot just do everything you like. So I took a year off in 2016-17 and did an internship in Vienna with the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization. So that was more non-proliferation. And then I took another internship right after, again 6 months, with the Council of the European Union and the Counter-Terrorism coordinator. So that was my terrorism-related internship. And then I was hoping, that after those 12 months and 6 months each experience, I would know where I want to go. That did not work out.
You didn't have that big epiphany.
I was like, and right after that, I'm going to know, this is going to be me and this is what I'm going to go for. And all I did was, I'm still interested in both. And so what I think about this next 12 months is the only practical experience that I haven't had yet is the financial sector. So this is why I got the non-pro, I got the terrorism, so why not going into the finance and see how that, plays out for me, how I like that one. So when I then go back to Germany, where I'm, maybe staying for a little longer than just a year, I might actually come to a conclusion on which field I want to go for.
So really, you're having the appetizers, yes, and then you'll choose the entree.
I'm taking the best of all worlds.
Good for you. But you know what? If you have the opportunity, it's fabulous.
Yes.
Not get pigeonholed into something and then wake up 10 years later and go, why didn't I?
Yeah. Exactly.
Try that. So,
yeah. And that's the and I mean, as I said in the beginning, that was the reason why, in the end, I chose Middlebury, why I chose MIS, because I was like, terrorism. Yeah, I already know that I'm interested in. So what's all that non-pro thing? And I didn't even know about the financial part because that just developed when I was abroad, and so like the last year, I just got kind of like caught into that motion too.
Is it Moira?
Yeah, Moira
yes,
Rusin,
she's fabulous. I have heard her speak, and.
Yeah.
She's pretty amazing.
Yeah, she's teaching almost all of the classes, and it's, I don't know, it was mind-blowing. I was like, oh my God, I did not know that. I don't like math. So I was like, no, I'm not into numbers. I did not know that numbers and like finance can be so interesting.
Yes, yes. Well, that is all I'm about is numbers.
Right, I was like,
ever since I was a kid, I loved it. So as this developed and I saw this developing, I'm thinking, in a way, I got old at a good time because I could retire and get out of working. But on the other hand, there's so many new fields that have opened up, and I am the nosiest person you'll ever meet. So
good.
I'm thinking, this would have been really good for me. I would have loved this. So.
Yeah, I think,
well, your mind constantly is tweaked to think in a different way and to look at something.
And curiosity and creativity. And this is maybe why I enjoy why I enjoy the lectures so much. Because as we're so small I had classes where 5 people in it. So you really have a very good exchange with the professor and you go very deep into the topic. But what you can also do is you can get yourself, because you have the time to do it. And you can you can play like a blue team, red team exercise, and you can get yourself in the head of the adversary. You can get yourself into the head of the cyber criminal. You can, the one that wants the money laundering. Like, we're developing schemes of like how do criminals traffic the drugs from whatever country to the US and then get that money into the financial, the legitimate financial system, and then, how to trace it back to so that they can actually get the money back into whatever they want to purchase with. Like, how is that all working out? And you really have the time to do that. And, it's just fascinating.
Well, I get the U.S. Border Patrol updates every day, and it's pretty amazing to me the amount of drugs and money that come into this country that they catch on a daily basis. So this morning in my news feed was $1.6 million worth of heroin in a trailer full of tomatoes coming in across one of our southern bridges. And that's just a normal day. And you'll think, okay, if that's what they caught, how much actually came that, while they were dealing with that one, that the rest of them drove on through. So it's crazy. It's like hollowed out avocados and hollowed out.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just this country. I read, what gets into Amsterdam and what gets into the other European countries.
And that's the scary but also fascinating part about it. If you think about, okay, so if they still go with this route, then they must still make a lot of profit, because otherwise they would change it, because they are not stupid. So if we caught, like, even if it's like a very large sum, and we're like super happy because Border Patrol actually, is efficiently working, there's still a lot that goes undetected into whatever country we're talking about. And so that's what on the academic side, that's what we learn. So now we just need the practical experience for it. And I see a lot of graduates from Middlebury going into that field because it's trending right now, and they're recruiting. Banks recruit like.
It's a big topic, and unfortunately, this country bears some responsibility in that we appear to have a huge appetite for all of this. So we create that market.
Yeah.
Shame on us.
Yeah, it is. That is so true. That's also very scary, by the way.
It is. It's a whole nother topic, but it is frightening that we have some culpability in this. So anyway.
Sometimes when you have the lectures and you go, so I was just talking with your colleagues before. I had a workshop on missile and missile defense last weekend, and it was so in-depth. I was so in-depth into the technology, the design, the working, the functioning of a missile. And I mean, like I've heard missiles before, and like you hear about drones, and you hear about cruise missiles and ballistic missiles and rockets. And I mean, when you talk about nuclear, this is obviously something that comes up. But oh my God, was that scary.
I
oh
get
my
it.
God.
I get it.
Technology, like everything is just frightening if you really, dig deep enough.
Well, Luisa, I wish you nothing but good luck.
Thank you.
I think in our interaction, you're going to have a fabulous career. I can't wait to hear where you land and what you're doing, because I think the world will be a safer place with you in it.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. So this is your town. I hope you understand a little bit more about Middlebury, and we'll see you next month with another topic. Thanks so much for joining us.